All right. So because this is full screen, I'm not able to see the comments off to the side. Um,
Okay,
if,
I'll keep an eye on those, and certainly I need to go and grab some food quickly, but
oh, sure.
we'll be keeping an eye out on things and listening in. So
Excellent.
otherwise, over to you. And sorry, was it V? Did you say
That's right.
V? Over to Christy and V. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Kevin and Zoe and all of the Viva Explorers. This has been a pretty monumental task organizing each of these speaking slots and time zones around the world for June 2nd. So we're very happy to join you. I have my lovely neighbor V who is able to do ASL. So I'm very excited to be able to utilize her services. And I am Christy Robinson. We are going to be talking today about low impact, high value knowledge management using Viva topics. Um, I think that there has been a lot of conversation around Viva topics, and that it is a very easy return on investment. And we'll show you some of the ways that that happens. Um, my company is Paint Rock Consulting, and you'll see all of my contact information there below. But with that, and with Miss V, we will roll right into it. So, the reason for employee experience platform, there are many reasons, and each of these reasons have been translated into um, talk tracks for Viva around the world. So, today we are talking about Viva topics in the growth track. There are other topics that have been presented earlier today, and we'll continue going through the time zones remaining for June 2nd in each of these different talk tracks. Check on the Viva Explorers website for the schedule of those other sessions, and be sure to join all of those that are of interest. So focusing on Viva topics, we want to illustrate and understand why Viva topics are useful, and the reason for that is that they help you manage a business's information. So the driving force for any business is its people, its resources, the people that it invests in to be members of that business. And the people in that business are hired because they have a degree of expertise that provides the resources the business needs to be able to operate. There have been a number of studies that have been conducted to capture some of the benefits around an engaged employee workforce, and some of those are reflected here. I'm not going to read statistics to you, but the bottom line is that a better engaged workforce provides greater profitability because they are more likely to be able to have further engagement within their company, make a broader impact within their company, increase their learning and development in that company, which increases their productivity. All of that leads to an increased bottom line. Before we start talking more specifically around knowledge management, I think it's probably a good place here to level set about understanding knowledge. So you'll see in our diagram that there are really three layers of what we're calling knowledge, information, and data. The first layer is data, and that is all of the bits and bytes and pieces of raw data. So things that get passed through in telemetry, numbers, figures. It's not very meaningful on its own. If you build some structure around data and build some context into that structure, then it becomes information. And that information can be used in context and in relation to other information throughout a business or throughout a business unit or department. So, types of information can be presentations, reports, summaries, evaluations. Finally, there's knowledge. Knowledge takes all of that that has been rolled up so far, um, creates that or layers that information into the people and expertise interpretation, and insights throughout your company. Knowledge is the utilization of information in not just current ways of how perhaps your business or your organization might be using information, but also is able to make other connections, maybe non-tangent connections or non-logical connections. So knowledge is sometimes how you get to innovation, how you get to insights, and that's where the real leverage comes from in your business going from standard operations to innovation and acceleration. So there are some challenges around knowledge and expertise. I think this is a pretty shocking statistic that approximately 7 weeks a year, which is, goodness, almost 50 days per year, are lost due to searching or recreating information that might already exist in a company. There are a couple of reasons for this. One is information overload. So if you think about the information that exists within your company, and then think about the different organizations or departments within your company, some of them don't necessarily connect or work together directly. Some of them work together kind of on a tangent. Others just kind of operate kind of separately in their own little bubble. That's a lot of information and a lot of places for information. Large volumes of information. For example, for departments that have been around for quite a long time, large volumes of information increase the lag time it takes for someone to find the information that they need. Sometimes that is related to knowing where to search or where to target a search or even what to search for. If you're not necessarily sure what the company name is for a product, for example, that makes searching for things very difficult. Other aspects that create challenges to knowledge management are lost knowledge. Lost knowledge results in a loss of productivity, but lost knowledge can reflect unclassified information, could be temporary information that was perhaps not classified properly and maybe it's aged out of a system, or perhaps it hasn't been filed properly or in the right repository, so it's not easy to find by other people. Lost knowledge results in a loss of productivity. The other aspect around lost knowledge, I think that is especially prescient right now, is we've all heard the news and the headlines for the first 6 months, 5 months of this year, and the last month or two of last year about the tens of thousands of people who have been laid off from positions. A lot of those people are taking that knowledge, that human layer of knowledge and expertise related to company information. When those people leave an organization, that knowledge and expertise is also lost from an organization. Those people, a lot of them are joining other companies or starting up companies of their own. So they will be able to utilize and leverage that knowledge expertise while your company doesn't have any benefit from that knowledge loss. There might be an organizational structure benefit, a budget benefit, a benefit in being more lean to achieve company goals, but that knowledge loss is a very hard, intangible thing that becomes lost with company change. So one of the silver linings around challenges are that they often present opportunities. And then in this case, Viva Topics provides an opportunity to be able to maximize and utilize the knowledge that currently exists within your company. Now, that is knowledge, meaning people and their expertise over your information and data. So one of the ways that Viva Topics can do that is by utilizing artificial intelligence to leverage the information and the content that already exists within your company and be able to bundle and surface that up for greater management. Organizing that knowledge into topics allows the encapsulation and the summary of various knowledge components within your organization to be able to be captured and illustrated on a page that will help other people who are either within your company already and learning different aspects of your business, or it allows people who are joining your organization to be able to find and ramp up quickly on knowledge that's already inherent within your organization. Finally, making those Viva topics easier to discover and to use is the final step that we'll talk about today as part of Viva topics. Part of what Viva topics provides is a layer of solutions and use cases that are already defined. You might be able to utilize some of these use cases in your planning for Viva topics. This slide illustrates 3 use cases that are proven use cases. They are not a part of a sales pitch. They are verified use cases that Microsoft has been able to collect from a number of partners and businesses, business customers that have been part of the Viva and employee experience and collaboration effort so far. One of those is building a shared vocabulary. This is important if think back to when you were a brand new employee at a company. Um, some companies are worse about this than other companies, but every company has probably a list of acronyms that become thrown around in everyday speech that become difficult for newcomers or perhaps people just entering the workforce or re entering the workforce or people who are new to your organization. Sometimes those acronyms are a little bit hard to catch on to. You can minimize the time that it takes for somebody to become fluent in acronyms or your company terminology by utilizing Viva topics to build that shared vocabulary within your organization. That's also helpful if your organization works to present or to consult with other organizations outside of your business. So if you are presenting a session on some knowledge that you're very fluent in or that your company excels in, if you start presenting that to outside companies or people with heavy use of acronyms or specialized terminology, then you're putting your audience at a disadvantage because they're coming in perhaps not knowing what some of that vocabulary is. So sharing and being aware of that internally also allows your personnel to capture that and utilize it and leverage it when they're speaking externally. The other successful use case is maximizing employee time value. So I think probably a lot of you have already read through this. Expediting onboarding seems like the first logical successful use case, and that's a great banner example. So we'll talk from there and go back to maximize employee time. So from an onboarding perspective, that's fantastic for new employees entering your company, as well as people who exist already within your organization. So if your organization has a variety of departments and promotes people from within, oftentimes those promotions, those leadership promotions, happen cross-functionally. So you wouldn't necessarily expect somebody who has been a project manager or an implementation manager, perhaps in an IT organization, to be able to take on a new initiative role in the finance organization immediately. So that onboarding expediting helps for cross promotional movement within your organization, or even cross departmental movement within your organization, so that your internal employees can transition from one business unit to another more quickly and readily. That plays into maximizing employee time and value because the information that's readily available to and for those departments within your company can be surfaced more readily through Viva topics. So finding related information for topics that are specific to your business department or organization has a quicker time to value for the people within your organization. All right. So next up, we'll talk through an example. I'm not going to do a live demo. I think there have been some hiccups with doing live show and tell demos. So these are all screenshots. and we will talk through each of those one by one. At the moment, I will pause. I'm going to go ahead and escape presentation right now just to check for any comments. I don't see any comments happening at the moment, so please feel free to drop them in the chat. I will be checking that from here on. Okay, I'm going to resume presenting. I have to stop before I can resume. Okay, I'm going to resume our presentation. There we go. Share. And I don't see that it is sharing. All right, there we go. I'm going to jump back to our example slide. Okay, so please feel free to drop in the comments if you have any questions as we go along. Also, if you're not able to see the presentation screen. Okay, your first question might be related to, that all sounds great. I want to use it right now. How do I make that happen? As we know, with a lot of new features that Microsoft rolls out, first thing to consider is licensing. And Viva Topics has its own license. So you would need to procure Viva Topics licenses. And if you're using Viva Suite licenses, then Viva Topics is already included. So there are two layers of Viva Topics licenses, a Viva Topics standalone license or a Viva Suite license, which includes Viva Engage, Connections, Topics, and a few other of the Viva Suite tools and utilities. The next thing that you'll need to plan through is the roles. So Viva Topics requires some administration, and you will want to identify who your knowledge management team will be. You will need a knowledge administrator, at least one, and knowledge managers. You can think of these people as your knowledge management team who will be responsible for helping shape the curation and evolution of your Viva Topics environment or your knowledge management environment. Other people within the organization, your everyday users, will also need a regular Viva Topics license to utilize the benefits of Viva Topics. Once you have your licensing and your roles defined, the next step is to proceed with configuration. There are some configuration steps that happen in the admin panel of the Microsoft 365 tenants. So your knowledge administrator will be the role who will be able to do that. They may need some privileged access. I can't remember, I'd have to double check my checklist, but they may need some temporary privileged access to the SharePoint environment, SharePoint admin. But being able to configure those topics in the Microsoft tenant is what starts Viva Topics and the AI machine behind it to begin learning and surfacing out topics. You may have some questions around security. So just up front, know that Viva Topics and pages will be security trimmed because they pull from information that already exists within your environment. So if you have Microsoft 365 groups and security around those groups that manage or that define your teams and your SharePoint information management, then that security will be reflected in your topics. So you don't have to apply separate security layers onto your topics. Having said that, when you are setting up the configuration for your Viva topics, you'll want to be mindful of where you want the Viva configuration or discovery utility to scan. So you could allow it to, by default, scan all of your SharePoint environment, but that's probably not a great idea. If you have, you probably have a limited HR organization or site where things like salary information is managed and very highly personal and confidential information, that's probably not a site that should be crawled or scanned as part of the discovery. The same with perhaps some top secret projects within a company, new product lines, anything that is considered confidential or top secret within the organization. Think of that, how you would translate that into SharePoint sites. So you have the opportunity in the configuration or the discovery manager to target which SharePoint sites to exclude from your discovery crawl. The best practice is to allow the discovery to crawl as much as possible of your SharePoint environment. Once that's done, that discovery is complete, then you will see, there we go, let me reactivate there. Then you'll have an opportunity to do a bit of refining. So after discovery, what we're looking at here is a topic center within the topic center. Let me back up one step. So configuring topics, one of the steps that includes is setting up the topic center. That's something that's built automatically. You can define what the name of that is, but it really is its own SharePoint site where each of the topics are SharePoint pages within the topic center. So if you really wanted to brand and roll this out as a knowledge management solution, you could call it, your organization's knowledge management center or knowledge management solution. Now, once the discovery phase has gone through, you'll be able to go into through the administrator, the knowledge administrator role. You'll be able to go through your admin panel and see what your discovery looks like for topics. What we're seeing here is a screenshot of the topics, the managed topics page. So what results after discovery becomes a list that becomes automatically prioritized. It will be recommendations of topics. So the AI and Microsoft Graph are gleaning the most frequently used terms and terminology within your organization, how many people utilize those terms, how cross-functional those terms are used, and then it ranks them on a score. The first score that I want to talk about is the organic topic score. So this is one that is captured by AI, and it is a score that is calculated based on the quality of all available resources. So if you're Jane Q. Public, or in our demo case, if you're Megan P. Bowen, you may not necessarily have access to all of the things that a topic page might recommend. So this organic topic score is taking other factors into consideration and the holistic view of your whole tenant. This regular topic score is taking the view based on who you are as who you're logged in, who your persona is. So in this case, if we are a knowledge administrator or knowledge manager, this topic score is ranked based on the quality of information, based on the content that I have access to as this user that I'm signed in. Some of the other metrics that you can see at the top are how many topics it has identified. And you'll also see a couple of status labels here. Once your topics are identified, you'll have the opportunity when you hover over them to accept or reject them. Rejected topics end up going into a separate page that you can always view later, the removed topics. But as you're going through this list and you accept or reject the topics that are recommended, you'll see the status change from recommended, which is a pink blob, to either confirmed or published. The first stage of accepting a topic recommendation is to confirm that it is a legitimate topic. So that's what these blue confirmed topics are illustrating here, or the blue confirmed status. Once you have confirmed a topic, then you'll be brought into a draft topic page where you can add some more settings and configuration around that topic. and then publish it. So the green status labels that indicate published here mean that these topics have been not just curated and confirmed, but they've also been verified and validated. So they're published and available to all of the company to see. The next piece that we'll look at will move from the managed topics page that you would see in the topic center to a published topic page. This screenshot is a published topic, and the topic is called Information Governance and Compliance. I've used this because we had a business case recently where an organization wanted to be able to use topics and knowledge management in the vein of information governance and compliance. So, to that end, they wanted to have a topic page related to all things IG and compliance with an explainer. You'll see the explainer paragraph here with an explainer of making or their goal in having this page. They wanted to make information around information governance and compliance more publicly accessible, more available to people throughout their line of work without necessarily requiring people to have to take an active role in retention management, for example, or classification. They had automation already around different classification roles and retention. They wanted this page to be able to illustrate to people that, yes, we have these different features in place. There's not necessarily a user requirement for you to go do any of those things, but you should be aware of these things and how we use them within the company. So the layout of a topic page has a title. When the knowledge administrator opts to edit a recommended topic, they confirm that topic. They're brought into a draft topic page, and that knowledge manager will be prompted to add any other alternative names. This is where the common vocabulary and acronyms come into play. So if you have, you call it IG perhaps, or RIM, or the RIM group, this is where you can plug in those other related terms. You would also, there may be a blurb already pre-populated, like a one sentence blurb about this topic, but you can edit that or customize it. And then you can also add tags related to this topic. So if you're using content types or managed metadata or knowledge information types, this is where you can tag those various knowledge information types. Now, because a topic page is very long vertically, we're going to go through a topic page through sections. So we've just covered the top section, which is basically the introduction portion of a topic. The next block or section of a topic page that you'll see is related to the people. So going back to our knowledge manager role, if we're editing a recommended topic page, it is going to display confirmed people. It's going to display the people that it thinks are probably most likely related to this topic, and that information is driven through the Microsoft Graph. So perhaps a team lead related to a topic, or people who have contributed the most to the documents or the content related to that. These are your subject matter experts. So the topic is the information, and then the people that are layered on to the information create the knowledge. So these are your subject matter experts. These are people that you can reach out to if you have a question about that topic or get quick information about a topic. The other thing that's great about this is it's crowdsourced. So just because your knowledge manager or your knowledge administrator has checked the check mark to confirm that, yep, I think these are probably the people that are most tied to this particular topic, doesn't necessarily mean that that's static and carved into stone. So if I'm Joni Sherman, I might see this and realize, I realize or I understand why they might have wanted me as Joni to be a confirmed person related to this topic, because I have been instrumental in drafting a lot of the language and the documentation around these topics. but I don't think that I'm a subject matter expert on governance principles, for example. So if I'm Joni and I feel that way, I can uncheck myself. I can remove myself as a subject matter expert from this topic. Similarly, if I'm Joni and I see other topics in the company and think, you know what, that's something I have a lot of knowledge on. Um, I have a lot of experience on this particular topic because that's what I did at my old company, for example. Then each user has the ability and opportunity to tag themselves as subject matter experts for different fields of knowledge in the company. The benefit here that I like to underscore is the crowdsourcing component. So a knowledge management program doesn't necessarily have to be a heavy burden on all of on a specific team within a company to create a program. You can leverage the features and functions that are built into Viva Topics that leverages the knowledge and the people and the information within your organization to create a knowledge management center. And then once that's created, it is a living, breathing, evergreen entity that the people within your organization can continue to contribute to over time. All right, so the next block of a topics page underneath the people will be the documents. Now, going back to our knowledge manager role, if we're editing a recommended topic page, it's going to show us a large number of documents. It's also going to show us those documents that are related to the topic in a perceived order. And that order, again, is defined by Microsoft Graph. And that's going to show us documents that it feels that might be most relevant for quick information about a topic. Not necessarily everything about a topic, although it might show you that too. But what you want to do as a knowledge manager is pin just those most essential documents to the topic. Um, what that allows for users is when they visit the topic page to learn more about that particular item, these are the documents recommended to help them get up to speed as fast as possible. Maybe they are a new employee, or maybe they've just joined the information governance group, for example, and they want to see how compliance is being managed for this company right away. So the pinned documents here will help them get up to speed more quickly. That's where your savings in time and employee productivity come into play. Now, pinning documents just means that only the most relevant ones are pinned at the top of the list of documents, but there will also be the opportunity for other documents to be listed and appear. The next block underneath pinned documents is pinned sites. So these are other SharePoint sites that are related to your topic on your topic page. And remember, we're our knowledge manager or knowledge administrator, and we're editing our recommended Viva Topics page before it is published. So we would have the opportunity to review all of the sites that Microsoft Graph has identified having some engagement with information governance in this example. Um, as the knowledge manager, we can pin or confirm which are the most important related SharePoint sites where information about this topic are available. There might be many more, but the pinned ones help other employees get up to speed quickly. And when we talk about topic curation, that is these steps that a knowledge manager or knowledge administrator would take in verifying topics, um, editing a topic page or curating a topic page, and then publishing it for visibility to the company. Finally, the last piece of a topic page, I think, is the most fascinating. This is your Microsoft Graph visual. This is going to illustrate other related topics in your company. So you can see our topic was the information governance one. We're center of the graph. There are a number of other topics that exist within the company that we have either direct or indirect relationships to. You can see those direct and indirect through the dotted lines. And then if you double click Southridge Video, for example, that's indirect because it relates to other topics that are related to us. But you can curate this graphic as well and unrelate any of these topics if you don't feel that they're accurately related. What this does for viewers, though, or for users, is give them a spatial lay of the land and understanding of not just this topic, but how widely and deeply it's utilized within the organization. All right, so that wraps up the knowledge administration and knowledge manager roles for um, verifying and editing and then publishing a recommended Viva topic. This slide, we're going to talk about topics in the flow of work. So once a topic is published, then people who are content creators, anybody who creates news articles or documents or content within your environment, uh, they can utilize topics, and they probably will utilize topics in the course of their normal work. When they do so, you can influence in your training to utilize the hashtag mechanism. Now, similar to social media, if you type a hashtag, automatically you're going to see a pop up box in your document allowing you to select or type in your topic name. Um, Another way that you can do this is type your term, in this case, information governance and compliance, and then add the hashtag and let that populate itself. So once the hashtag identifies a topic on the back end, it illustrates the name of that topic as a hyperlink. You'll see the gray background and an underline. It looks and acts just like a hyperlink. What that hyperlink does, though, is go to a topic card as opposed to a website. So if we click on the hyperlink, here in our screenshot, we've got the information governance and compliance, and we click on that. What we're going to see is a topics card. That topics card is a quick at a glance of that topic. Maybe you've kind of heard of that, but you wanted to see what it was. And oh, yes, this definition, that's right. I remember what it is. And then you can go back to your work. If you move away from this hyperlink, this card disappears. So it just pops up in the flow of work. Alternatively, if you're interested in governance and compliance and want to learn more about this topic, you can see there's a little blurb that you can click more and read the full description. And then you'll also see the people that we pinned as our topic references. The first one or two of the people will be shown on the summary card, on your topics card. So if you wanted to reach out very quickly in a chat, for example, you could do that. Just click Megan and send her a text. Similarly, the document underneath or the resources. So in the topics card, since it is a summary version, it'll probably show you just one or two documents, but it'll show you those most important documents that your knowledge administrators have pinned. Now, this topic card gives you all of the topic information at a glance, but it also gives you the opportunity to click here to see more details about that topic. When you do, that will bring you into the full topics page, which is the long vertical with the topics introduction, the people, the documents, the related SharePoint sites, and the Microsoft graph on the bottom. So that can help somebody get up to speed very quickly on a particular topic. And in a topic page, you can create other links to other information as we showed earlier. So for the information governance and compliance topic, we had a little segment at the very top that was a blurb about why we have this topic, what we want people to learn about, or be aware of related to information governance on that topic card. My last slide is a quick thank you for all of the people in the Viva community, the Viva Explorers community. So go ahead and Google or type in vivaexplorers.com. This is a community that's open to all for all the different tracks of the Viva services. And that team has done a fantastic job in making this event happen around the world with so many different speakers on up to 4 different tracks of information. My contact information is at the bottom, but I would have one final favor, and that is to ask you to scan the QR code and provide some feedback on this particular presentation. What worked for you? What didn't? What would you like to see differently if you had to sit through it again? Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint screen there. And see, we have Kevin back on.
Hello, and I thank you very much for those kind words about the explorers at the end. You know, we're
Oh,
trying
sure.
our best to keep people excited about Viva and keep moving from that. We get a lot of conversation like, "Are you a company? Are you your own consulting?" No, no, we all work for different companies. Some of us in consultancy, some even on the client side as well. So we do this for the love, which is after how many hours? I think I'm up to about 18 hours so far. It
Oh my
feels like a lot of
gosh.
love wearing them there. But it was a huge thanks to you, Christy. And I'm sorry to downplay what you're doing, but even more so to V. I thought it was fantastic. It was just hypnotic watching you there. So really appreciate that. We're lucky enough in the UK to have a community conference called the Scottish Summits, and the last one they had. BSL, so British Sign Language interpreters for a lot of the sessions, and it was just amazing watching it. And in fact, they could only do 20 minutes at a time because it was so tiring, kind of listening to that. So
Oh my
even
gosh.
more impressed watching you go through that whole thing because it's a lot of cognitive load. So really thank you for that.
V, I have a question. If you've heard Scottish people speak, sometimes they have a brogue, they roll the R. Can you do that in sign language?
No,
Okay.
actually. Those tiny little things, no. Like in Spanish, you hear the roll the R's.
Yeah.
No.
So you don't
Okay.
have different kind of local variations at all, like you have what's the word I'm looking for? Different
Accents.
accents. Yeah, you don't get different accents at all. Or
Yes.
you
With
do.
sign language, you do. It's more hearing people have vocal accents, whereas sign language, you have your like maybe you sign really small, or you sign really loud and
Oh.
big, or you kind of just lazy with it.
And
Those
do you get it? Does it often happen regionally, or is it more just different personalities?
regionally.
It is. Wow, that's fascinating. I love this kind of thing. Sorry.
Me too, yes. V is a neighbor, and we're in a small community in north central Wyoming. So we're not in a very populated state.
Yeah.
So you can imagine my surprise when I learned that a few miles down the road
You're like,
is a
"Ooh."
sign interpreter. Yes, I'm going to be having you over a lot more often, I think.
Oh, I like it. I don't mind at all.
And we'll get you trained up as a Viva consultant as well. You know, there's good money in that. So.
Absolutely. All
So,
right.
no, thank you so much to both of you as well, and yeah, I'll send out a mail to everyone, to everyone watching as well. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed that. That wraps up this East US section of there, and we've got one more set of 16 sessions as we move over to the West US side. So do come and join us on the other side. But to both of you and everyone watching, thank you very much.
All right. And thanks everybody for joining. I'm going to do my leave studio thing. I don't get any drum roll or exit music here, right?
Thanks very much, both.
All
Cheers.
right. Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
See you
Bye.
soon.